Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Build Your Copywriting Business podcast. Hey there, Kate.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Okay, friends. Today, we are going to talk about how to weather the inevitable ups and downs of business. And I want to start out right away to say that this is not going to be a bummer of an episode. This is not going to be a like, oh, things are going to be so hard.
Well, and I think to clarify, because if you're like, wait, Nikki, Kate, you said ebbs and flows aren't a thing, because if you're always pitching, then you shouldn't have ebbs and flows. Yes. However, we know that you're not always going to be pitching. We've been doing this long enough. We know ourselves, we know our students, and sometimes you just fall off the bandwagon and don't even realize it, quite frankly. It's not a conscious thing always if it's not in your calendar or you just got busy or life happens.
Well, and there are, additional kinds of ups and downs to businesses, right? There are sometimes you will have times where you have calls and you land all of the clients and it feels fantastic. And then sometimes you have times where for whatever reason, you have a bunch of calls with people and none of them are ready to move forward with you.
Or you don't want to move forward with them.
Or you don't want to. Exactly. Or you have a whole bunch of clients and you have more work than you can handle, which even that can sometimes be a low. Or you just have a lot of work lined up and for whatever reason, a bunch of the clients decide that they want to push it out for a month. Or you have a really great call with a client and they say, oh my gosh, this work is so fantastic. Or you have a call with a client and they're like, "Ooh, actually, we really think you missed the mark on this one. Can we take it back to square one?" The thing is that as much as copywriting is an amazing career, it is so much fun and it is so fulfilling and I love it and I know you do too, Kate. At the same time, too, it's still a career and we are still human. And the people we work with are still human, which means that we're going to have good days and we're going to have not so good days. I think sometimes when we get into a career and we're like, this is it, oh my God, I love this job, this is going to be so great. We kind of think that, all right, finding the job was the hard part. Now from here, it's just going to be like, yeah, I just want clients and it's wonderful. And you will have a lot of it. But at the same time, too, you will have times where you're like, oh man, I'm having a bad day.
Well, I think it's very easy as a freelancer to attribute and correlate that, crummy day, crummy feelings to the freelancing aspect of it, especially as a freelancer. I mean, you can be in-house too. But I think it's very easy to point to like, oh, this happened and this is why, versus maybe it's cloudy out, quite frankly, and that impacts us more than we realize. Or it's, the sun's setting really early and now there are changes in season. There's changes, maybe you had a weird text conversation with someone. You didn't even realize it wasn't bad. It wasn't good, but you're just left feeling from it. Or you had a bad call with a family or friends or something, someone's sick in your family and you're dealing with that. And I think there's a lot more going on in our lives that we don't even realize how it's impacting how we're feeling. And so I think, that's the place to start, is to start noticing, not to get too woo-woo or play therapist, but really noticing how you're feeling when certain things happen of, I just had this phone conversation with someone who I think is a good friend. And, I came off not feeling great after that. Why is that? And just getting curious and asking those questions. And is it from that phone conversation? Was there something else that happened from your day? And looking at everything, because I'm the first one to admit when I need a vacation, like, I'm just going to stop being a copywriter. And I always know, I've said this before, that is the sign that I need a vacation, not that I need to change careers. So there's inevitably going to be those moments where you just feel weird. It's a day. It's not the best day ever.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. That it can be easy to misattribute what is going on with us. Like I know that when I don't get adequate amounts of sleep, like even if I'm just an hour or two less than I should be, I am off my game. And that means that things that might not normally ruffle our feathers are harder to deal with. If you got an email from a client that's like, hey, can we set up a call later today? On a day when for example, on a day when I'm well rested, I'm going to be like, okay, absolutely, let's set up a call. On a day when I'm not well rested, I'm not resilient, I'm not emotionally resilient, I might go, oh my gosh, what is this? Is this client going to tell me that they're firing me? Is this client going to tell me I did something wrong? When it's
funny. My reaction would be, oh, they want to get on a call today, last minute. And why do they think I am an on-call copywriter? So yeah.
It's so funny, right? Like, but that's such a great example, Kate, because the only thing that changed was our reaction to it.
Totally.
The email, there was nothing else in that email except,
Yeah,
hey, can we get on a call? Right? Nothing. But our reaction to it was totally different depending on where we were emotionally and how we were feeling. And like you said, with seasonal affective disorder is a thing. Has it been dark outside for a while? Have you not got enough sleep? Are you not eating well? Are you just, or is there family stress going on? Is there any of those kinds of things? And which is not to say, of course, that you can't just have days when you're off, where maybe you do have a day where you get a couple emails from clients being like, oh, I don't think we're going to move forward with this, or whatever. That's going to happen. It's going to happen where it might be something external, it might be something internal, and it's part of being human. You are going to have so many good days. You're going to have so many good days, and you're going to have so many things to celebrate. But at the same time, too, you are going to have some off days. And so what we wanted to talk about today was really how to deal with those off days. And I think really a great place to start it is to make sure that you are getting adequate sleep, and that you are eating healthy foods, which I know sounds like, but if you're eating crud, if you're eating a lot of sugar, if you're eating, and don't get me wrong, we are recording this on Halloween.
I was going to say.
And every year I buy a bag of candy in case kids come to my door. Kids have never come to my door. I know who I'm buying that candy for. This one right here. And do I eat the whole bag? You better believe I do. Now it's over the course of a month, but it's still way more sugar than I should be taking
had
in.
A 2-for-1 on Reese's peanut butter cups, and they had all the different shapes this year: pumpkins, ghosts, bats.
Yeah.
And guess who got the 2-for-1 deal?
Well, I've never even seen the bat shape, so you would have to.
You have to get.
But so please don't. We're not saying that we are perfect. Even like this morning, I got less sleep than I should have, and at first I was like, "This is great. I'm going to get up and get to work." And then my afternoon has been absolutely absurd. But looking at the sleep and what you are putting into your body, and are you moving your body? Are you getting some good exercise, even if it's just a walk around the block? Are you getting fresh air? That's something I always think about in the winter when we spend so much time, especially people who work from home. We spend so much time inside with our windows closed. Or are you getting enough fresh air?
I was just talking about this with our operations manager, Caitlin, too, of, whether it's the ebb or flow of you have too much or too little work. I think so many times my reaction, but we were saying our reaction is, I don't have time for this. I can't take a break and go outside and go for a walk. I have to get one less hour of sleep because I need to get up early to do this project. And I think when that's your reaction, that's become a signal to me of that's how I'm reactive. I don't have time for this. Oh, no. This is exactly the time. You don't have time for this. You need to stop everything, make the time for it. Take that break, because you'll come back to whatever you're doing that much fresher. And instead of, something taking you 2 hours that should take you half an hour, getting that break will help it be more efficient. But just the clarity that you get from a good night's sleep or a walk in fresh air, to Nikki's point, eating something that, taking time, an extra 20 minutes, half an hour to cook something that you want to eat versus might go to, take out pizza. It makes a big difference, just to give yourself that space. Let that be a signal for you too, of when you have that clenching of, well, I don't have time. That's the exact time that you need to make time.
Hey there, it's Nikki. I wanted to take a very quick minute to make sure that you knew about our free on-demand copywriting training. Now, whether you are brand new to copywriting or you've been doing it for a while, but you just can't seem to hit those income goals, this training is for you. You are going to learn the 3 secrets to landing freelance copywriting work without relying on frustrating job bidding sites like Upwork or Fiverr, or without cold calling strangers. And if you've watched any of the Student success stories on this channel. And if you haven't yet, check them out. This is the exact same training that they all started with. And I mean students like Kate Kay, who is making 6 figures, working part-time, and retired her husband to help her build her business. Students like Stuart, who replaced his full-time salary, which was a good one, with his freelance income and then some. Stacy, who hit 6 figures in her first 6 months as a freelance copywriter, and Ashley, who landed the in-house copywriting job of her dreams. They all started with this free training, and you can start with this free training too. So sign up right now at freecopywritingtraining.com. Yeah, exactly. And start to notice those things. I think we talked about this in another episode. I can't remember which one, but that your go-to is when you're stressed, the thing that your brain goes to is I need to leave copywriting completely
altogether,
which always makes me laugh. I mean, not while you're in it. I don't laugh while you're in it. When we're talking about it afterwards. Sure. My go-to, my brain starts to go, they all want a piece of me. Everybody wants a piece of me. And not, I don't even know who they is.
Yeah.
It's just, it's like the tasks on my list all want a piece of me. It's not even people. It's the tasks on my list want a piece of me. But that's the thing that my brain kicks up. And when I hear that in my head, I go, oh, Nick.
When I hear that in my head, I hear Britney Spears. Down. Do you also hear her in your head?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
And then, sometimes then I'll play the song just to, but it's there. You will get, as you start to look for this stuff, you'll start to notice your clues, your clues that you need a break, your clues that you need to take care of. And the thing is you have to be the one to take care of you. There's not, we are adults now. And actually, unfortunately, some of us when we were little kids didn't have reliable adults to take care of us. But especially now as adults, we have to be the ones to take care of ourselves and to advocate for ourselves and to make sure that that we are being healthy, because our businesses rely on us. If we go down, there's no business, right? If we go down, there is no income. So we have to make sure that we're taking care of ourselves.
Yeah, we've talked about business rules before and having those for yourself. And so in that episode, we'll link to it. But in the sense of, if a client comes to me wanting something done right away, my response is, one of my rules is I won't kick off a project within 2 weeks out. It's 2 weeks out. If you come to me today, then 2 weeks from now, okay, we can kick it off then. So things like that. But I think putting them in place too for just processes for yourself. So noticing these clues, okay, here are my clues. So if this happens, then I'm going to do this. So if I feel like I have no time in my schedule, I'm going to go for a walk, 20-minute walk, 15 minutes. The amount of time in the scheme of things is actually not all that much. If you're like, well, okay, how would I make more time? Take that 15 minutes because you will probably get that back tenfold.
Yes. Well, and what I'm laughing to myself because what personally for me is I know I need it when I'm staring at my computer going, all right, just do it. Just do the work. Just do the work. Write something right now. Like, so I could either, but I'm going, well, I don't have time to take a walk. I have to get this done, but I'm not doing anything. So what I could do instead is go take a walk and then come back to my desk and feel fresh. Or instead I could take that time and sit in front of my computer and beat myself up for not, and I'm still not getting the work done, but then I also feel worse. Yes. Yeah. And I absolutely will do. We don't default to taking care of ourselves first, which is a flaw in the human design. I don't know why that is, but we default to beating ourselves up first, pushing ourselves harder first, when really it would be so much better if we would actually take a real break. I will admit I am notorious for being like, I need to take a break. Why don't I go over to the New York Times puzzles and do Wordle or do the spelling bee?
I love connections now. That's my new obsession.
Too. Yes, but I go first thing I do is shuffle because I think they put it in there to try to lead you in a direction. Anyway, I know that taking a break by doing something that is on a screen is not a break for me. I need to be up and away from my computer because if I'm doing something that is on the screen all day long, it's all I'm doing is breaking down my focus.
One of the things I like to do too when we're talking ebbs and flows of freelance, and I think every freelancer has this moment of like, well, it's not working, or it's not. Why should I go get a 9 to 5? Probably not. I think this comes up again when you haven't been pitching for a long time and maybe you just have a moment where it feels slower than it should, or that you want it to, that you're comfortable with. And so I think two things. One, as a freelancer, I learned to lean into those moments to be like, oh, you know what? Yeah, I didn't pitch, and that's why I don't have work right now. It's not anything else going on, but this factor that I have control over, which is pitching, and I didn't do it. But you know what? I've got some time now. So two things. I'm going to start pitching again if I haven't already. But two, okay, I'm going to lean into that time and say, you know what? I have this break right now. Let me take advantage of this break, because I think there's an instinct to just, okay, beat myself up. I don't have work, but I'm going to sit at my computer, kind of like you, of just do work, write something, do something. Instead, okay, I've been gifted this time. Let me do things in my personal life that I've been putting off, that I've been neglecting. And then, yeah, I know that work's going to come again when I start pitching in, doing the things I know I need to do to land clients and land work. The other thing I like to do is remind myself, because it's a feeling, right? Of, well, things are slow, so they're always going to be slow. And so we get very emotional. It's very easy to be emotional as humans. And it's very easy or hard, I should say, to take ourselves out of that emotion because we feel it so strongly. When I go have these moments, I pull up I have a spreadsheet. And if you're a freelancer, I'm sure you have some other way of tracking your income and invoices from all of your clients. I go back to this. And sometimes I go back from years past and look and say, all right, consistently month over month. Yes, were there months where I made significantly more than others? Sure. But on the whole, on the average, here's what I made year over year. And that number is, six figures. We have an episode where I break down my numbers. Was every year the same? No, but I was growing my business, and then actually, frankly, took it down slightly. But the point is to look at the data and say, okay, this is a very unemotional, there's no emotion in the data. There were periods that I've gone through this before, and to remind myself, oh, I've been through this as a business owner, as a freelancer, because as a freelancer, you are a business owner. This is part of that. And again, or is most of it my fault as a business owner? Yes. Is there some external ebb and flow to what's going on in the economy and in the world? Sure. But on the whole, everything is, there's not much, if I were to graph it out, there wouldn't be huge spikes and huge dips or anything like that. Yeah, it could be kind of like the roads in my area aren't great. It'd be kind of like that, a little bumpy road, a few potholes here and there that need filling, but I get to my destination. I got there. The road got me where I was going. So
yeah,
look at the data.
Yeah, I love that. It's we tend to be, like you said, we tend to react emotionally to what's going on in our lives, which makes sense. We're not robots. But once that emotion passes, don't hang on to that panic, don't hang on to that stress. Once that passes, feel it, let it go. It really is a matter of looking at numbers and looking at, if you are not happy with the output, if you're not happy with the results, right? What are the inputs that got you to those results? What are the inputs that got you to that output? If you're not, like you were saying, Kate, if you're looking at your schedule and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have any clients coming up for next month or something along the lines. Okay, well, what got you there? What are the inputs that got you there? And like you said, it will often be, I stopped pitching a couple of months ago. Okay, well, that's, if you're not happy with the outputs, look at the inputs and then go back, you can go back in time, but moving forward, change those inputs to get a different output. It sounds oversimplified, but it is something that we forget all the time. If you don't like the results you're getting, change what you're putting in.
And frankly, everyone learns the pitching lesson, I feel like, because it's easy to say until you feel it and realize, oh, yeah, I had it on my schedule even, and maybe I ignored it. Then I think once you feel that pain of not doing it, next time you'll be less likely to ignore it. Sometimes that's just part of the process to go through as humans. We have to experience it firsthand for ourselves to actually understand and for those concepts to stick. But I think the other thing with data is, it took me probably like 3 or 4 years into freelancing for me to be like, oh, this isn't a fluke. Like I've been doing this, and I've been looking back on those years and looking then at that growth to say, oh, I'm actually in a great place. We've referenced the book, I think, The Gap in the Game before, and we might have done an episode on it, linked to it below too. But looking back on the gain and not focusing in on the gap of like, oh, I'm not where I need to be, and looking for, oh, I haven't achieved whatever level of success I want to achieve, or I haven't done this, or I haven't done that, or I should be, I hate that word, I should be somewhere and then looking back and being like, oh,
Oh, look at how far I've come.
yeah, this is actually significant.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing is too, is that there are going to be times when things aren't going to be great. And you know what? Like we said, take care of yourself, take time off, but also lean on your community. Yes, lean on the people around you who love you. But also they may not get it in the same way that someone who is a freelancer like you does. Like when there are challenges in my business, I will talk to my friends, and they definitely, or I talk to, non-business owner friends, and they can say, oh, oh, gee, but it's my business owner friends who really understand. And so for you listening, and the CCA students especially, reach out to the community. Now, I will say there is a difference between kind of perpetually going, oh, this is not working, I'm failing, blah, blah, blah. There's a difference between venting or kind of perpetually being, what's the word I'm looking for? Foisting your unhappiness on other people, right? Nobody wants to interact with that kind of person, and nobody wants to be that kind of person. So before you, like, say in the Facebook, for example, before you post, just do think it through. But at the same time too, it is okay to say, like, hey, guys, I'm having kind of a crummy day. Can anybody offer any perspective, or can I? So it's not, it's almost having letting people know what's going on, but then asking for help. So not just unloading your emotions, but to say, all right, I'm having this challenge, and you can maybe tell people why. Maybe you don't need to tell them why, but like, hey, can you just give me some perspective? Or are there any quotes that you guys love? Or has anybody had any big wins lately that can inspire me? So reaching out for support, or
with
I should say,
purpose and
sharing
intention.
and asking for
Yeah.
support. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's the difference of like, I want to get out of this space versus I just want to stew in this space, which is not productive and helpful for any of us. And I think when we're in these places of feeling the feels, it can feel difficult if we're so focused on a future where we don't know, none of us know what it's going to be. But I think a lot of us tend toward the doom and gloom of what if this, what if that, and there's no way for us to know. So we always say not to make assumptions. And I feel like this is totally one of those cases of, whether you got client feedback and, well, they hated my copy. No, they're just giving you, they're just giving you feedback to make it better. Or, oh, my client wants to get on a call with me. Well, don't assume that it's a negative thing. Like, our brains spiral to negative. But I think the bigger picture is what I'm thinking about and want to say is, we've talked about Nikki starting her career in the 2008 in the middle of a recession. We talked about, again, in 2021, the same thing happened of like post-COVID, in the midst of like, oh, is it a recession? Is it not? And people feeling scared and like, is this career viable? Is copywriting gonna survive? It's happening again with AI, and AI is gonna take our jobs. And as we've seen, and as more and more of my clients have seen, it is a tool for copywriters, and we can use it to our advantage, but it is not replacing humans. It can't create effective things. And so there are always going to be these moments of big change and uncertainty. And I wish we didn't have to deal with them, and that we were never going to have them again. And we would start our freelancing careers, and it's just going to be like, all right, here I am, and here are my processes, and here's what I do every day. And that's never going to change, and I'm done. The reality is life is not like that. Business is not like that. There's always going to be a future that we can't predict, but what we can do is control the things that we have control over, which is pitching, which is looking at the data, which is doing not making assumptions, doing the things that we have control over to create the future that we want as best as we want it, and being as proactive as we can, but knowing that stuff's going to happen and we can't cross those bridges until they actually even happen.
Yeah. Well, and stuff's going to happen, but guess what? They might not, the outcome might not be bad.
Exactly.
What Kate alluded to was that the first time I hit 6 figures was when I left a full-time job to go full-time freelance in 2008, the quote unquote Great Recession. And what it turns out is that recessions and economic instability is a really good time to be a freelancer. And I think we actually have an episode about
Yeah, we
that.
do.
So we
We
can
definitely do.
post a
Yeah.
link to it so I don't have to give you the whole spiel here. But I think people would make the assumption like, oh my gosh, a
Yes.
recession, this is going to be terrible. But someone who, and I'm having been in the industry for 20 plus years, I can offer that level of experience where I can say, no, I've seen this before. It's going to be good for you.
Yeah.
And then, and the same thing when COVID happened and people were like, oh, no, I was able to say like, I know I have not lived through a pandemic, but I have lived through this kind of economic thing and it was good for us. And even the same thing with AI
Right.
coming in.
Yeah.
As much as everyone's like, oh no, it's going to be, no, it's good. If anything, it reminded people that how necessary messaging is, and that they need a human to do that messaging. All of the people who were like originally, all the big business gurus who were like, oh, it's AI is going to take over. They are now all saying, oh, it's great, but you absolutely need a really skilled human to do the actual writing. Great as a tool, but you need a skilled human. It even when you're worrying about something, you don't have you very likely you don't have the necessary perspective to know that it's going to be a negative
Yeah. None
outcome.
of us do.
There may be historical patterns. You can lean
True.
on people like Kate and I who've been in this industry for a very long time and can tell you what we've seen. But it's we default to thinking negatively, right? But I think what we're both saying is, as much as possible, try to catch yourself before you go down that spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And to CCA students, if you have questions, reach out, ask in a coaching call, reach out in the group. We anytime that you are concerned about anything, we want to help you through this. But none of us are. I was going to say that none of us are psychic, which is true. But if you don't yet have the greater career perspective, if you have been doing this just for a couple of years, and even there's some other copywriting coaches that have been doing it just for a couple of years, they don't have that perspective either, then reach out. And
Yeah.
we certainly, Kate, you and I
Shoot them out.
share in the community. Exactly. But we are here for you to offer that greater perspective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the falling under not making assumptions. Though I love that. We assume it's going to be bad, and it could be very good, and most likely it's just going to be different, neither
Mhm.
good nor bad. Just that's how I feel about AI is like, okay, regulations and all of that sort of conversation aside, I'm not an expert in that. But when it comes to our role and with it, okay, it's going to be a tool.
Mhm.
If anything, it leans more positive than negative of making things efficient, helping, brainstorm or whatever. But yeah, I think we spiral to things that we can't make assumptions about. So catching yourself when you make those assumptions to be like, okay, that is an assumption. Could it? Okay, I'm gonna let that go. Write it down if you have to. Keep a book of
Mhm.
assumptions, and you can see which ones come true or not. And but yeah,
Yeah, it's don't let your brain don't let the resistance part of your brain take over, because it's
yeah,
gonna try.
oh
And
yeah,
especially on days when it's a little bit more challenging,
yeah.
that's when it's gonna come in hard and try to take you down. But you are gonna have so many great days, and you're gonna have even more good days. And you're also gonna have plenty of like, okay, well, that was
It
a
was a
day.
day.
It was a day. But then you will also, because this is life, you will have days that aren't so good. You will
Mhm.
have some crummy days, and that is absolutely part of the process. But the great news is that they will not last. You are not stuck in crummy days forever. You will have a crummy day, and it will come and it will go. And the only way that you turn a crummy day into a crummy week or a crummy month is if you stay perseverating in those feelings,
Mhm.
and you don't take care of yourself and get yourself physically able to handle that. And then also, of course, if you're not taking care of your business, if you're perseverating in this fear and panic instead of doing the things that, like pitching, like networking, all that will get you the work. Okay, so you're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days, but you will be fine. And in the long run, you are going to have a very, very successful career. So to ensure that you have a long and successful career, take good care of yourself, my friends. Take good care. We will catch you guys in the next episode. Bye, everybody. Like what you heard? Hit subscribe so you never miss a video. And if you're ready to take the first step toward becoming a copywriter yourself, sign up for a free video training right here.